welcome to the KCNPC Fantasy Football Podcast. We're heading into Week 8 of the fantasy football season, and the race towards the playoffs is heating up. I'm Casey, of course, you know that. He's PC, you probably know that as well by now. And today we're going to be having a conversation about a long-standing debate. This is brought up every now and then, and the question is, would past NFL players succeed in today's NFL? You know, were old football greats actually great?
Are we finally going to start trash-talking old people? It's about GD time. I've wanted to call out the elderly for years. They move too slowly, they have that weird smell, and they're incredibly narcissistic. Am I right, or am I right?
I've never thought of olds as narcissistic.
You haven't? It's obvious that they are. I mean, no other age group has an entire style of photography dedicated to snapping pics of them. You've heard of senior portraits, haven't you?
Geez, that's a stretch. Anyway, getting back to what I was asking. So, would Bart Starr be just as good today as Aaron Rodgers is? You know, could the 1966 MVP be an MVP in 2018? Clearly, in their own times, both were/are elite athletes. I mean, I think if Bart Starr followed the same type of nutrition and workout plans that today's athletes do, he'd probably be a Hall of Fame quarterback still. But if he ate, wheelbarrows full of potato salad or whatever and did 3 push-ups every Tuesday like he probably did in the 60s, he may have been the starter on his high school varsity team. Maybe.
Let's not forget that football also wasn't as popular back then. Baseball was the national pastime. Plus, African Americans only made up a small percentage of NFL rosters. So Bart Starr wasn't necessarily playing against the best athletes in his own time.
Yeah, we'll never know for sure how this hypothetical will play out unless you have a time machine, PC.
If I did, I'd go back in time and make sure certain old people never existed. I'm looking at you, Betty White.
Whoa, too far, PC, too far, dude. Betty White is where I draw the line in old bashing. She's a national treasure, sir. Okay, so obviously the answers to some questions aren't black and white, but some are. Like the answers to today's quiz called Off to the Races, coming up soon. Welcome back to the KCNPC Fantasy Football Podcast. Please welcome to the show this week our guest, a man who's seen it all but understood very little of it, Lil Eric Bullties. Welcome to the show, Eric. How's it going?
Good. Glad to be here.
Okay, so we're just going to ask you a few questions related to the league and the NFL. Just kind of get your hot takes on what's going on. So, the first question I'm going to start you off here was, is it shuttle, shovel, or shuffle pass? Shuttle, shovel, or shuffle pass?
Shovel?
Shovel. You're going with shovel. I don't know that it's actually clearly defined. I was just trying to get an opinion.
Yeah,
so,
they like to mumble it also.
So shovel. Okay.
Yeah.
If we had a destination draft, where do you want to have it? Anywhere in particular?
Nowhere particular. Nowhere cool. Maybe at the Star.
Ooh, okay. Have it at the Cowboys training facility. That'd be pretty cool. Do you think there will ever be a female coach in the NFL? If so, when do you think? Soon? Long time? What?
Probably a long time from now.
Like 10 years, 20 years?
Like 2034.
2034, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty specific there.
Yep.
If you were an NFL player, what position do you think you'd play in the NFL?
Long snapper.
Ooh, what's that?
Barely on the field, paid lots of money, and you can do it forever.
There you go.
You don't actually have to kick anything.
Okay, I wanted to get your predictions for the Cowboys this year. Record-wise, are they going to the playoffs? What are you thinking?
I would say 10-6, and yes.
Ooh, okay. 10-6, yes. How deep in the playoffs do you think they're going?
Not deep.
Okay, just kind of a one and done.
Yeah.
Okay. Then one final question here. What do you do in between the draft and the first week of the regular season? Do you add or drop anyone? Do you come up with your team name, trash talk, what?
I still have to come up with the team name.
Is that usually based on a player, or how do you do that?
Usually something in pop culture. I try to. I will add and drop. I go through cycles of hating my team and loving it every day. And sometimes I try and trade. Thank God someone didn't accept the Amari Cooper trade last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, Lil Eric, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in the fantasy football season.
Cool. Thanks.
Welcome back to the KC and PC Fantasy Football Podcast. It's quiz time. Time to test your knowledge, make educated guesses, and grow that brain of yours. So this quiz is going to be about some eye-opening trivia about racial facts and figures in the NFL. 10 questions, so play along or just get smurder. Get your education on. All right, first we're going to start with, what's the name of the NFL's only current black punter? Think. Who's the only black punter in the league? That, of course, would be the outspoken Marquette King of the Denver Broncos. And he actually didn't start off as a punter. In college, he changed from wide receiver to punter in order to keep his scholarship. So things worked out pretty well there for him. Next question. In 2017, how many of the 32 kickers were white? So out of the league, those 32 kickers, how many were white? Think. That would be 29. 29 of those 32 were white dudes. That's a lot of stressed out people and their legs. Okay, next question. In what year did Charles Follis become the first African-American pro football player? What year was the first African-American pro football player? It's kind of a trick question here. Way back in 1904, before the NFL was really even the NFL. And it's actually pretty surprising. I mean, Jackie Robinson didn't break the color barrier in MLB in baseball until 1947, so 43 years later. Next question. Since 2010, only around 10 white running backs have seen regular playing time. And 2010 was the last time a white running back rushed for 1,000 yards. So who was it? Which white running back ran for 1,000 yards in 2010? That would be the one-year wonder from the Cleveland Browns, Mr. Peyton Hillis. That season actually helped him land the Madden cover, if you recall. Bonus question, who did he beat in the final vote of getting that honor to be on the Madden cover back in 2010? That would be Michael Vick, Mr. Puppy Love himself. On to the next question here. We all probably know about the NFL's Rooney Rule, which requires teams to interview racial minorities for head coaching positions. But do you know when it was implemented, when it was first started? Any guess when the Rooney Rule came into effect? That would be back in Bill Parcells' first year as coach of the Cowboys. Maybe that helps you. That would be 2003. 2003. In 2018, how many, as of right now, as of the moment I'm recording this, how many of the 32 starting quarterbacks are white? This year, of the 32 quarterbacks, how many are white? That would be 25. That's a whole bunch of white dudes throwing the ball. Percentage-wise, in 2014, what was the racial breakdown of the league between black, white, and other? So let's start off with what percentage of the league is black as of 2014. So 68% of the league was black. How much was the league white-wise? There were 28% white players in the NFL, and then 4% were Asian, Latino, or other. So 68% black, 28% white, and 4% other. Only a few questions left here. So, in what year did the NFL have its first black MVP? That was in 1954. Running back Joe Perry of San Fran. Okay, down to our final two questions here. Only two of the league's owners are of non-European descent. Can you name them? What are the names of those two league owners? So there's the Buffalo Bills owner, Kim Pegula. I don't know if I'm really pronouncing that correctly. He's Korean-born. And then Jacksonville Jaguars, Mr. Shad Khan, again, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is Pakistani-American. So those are the two non-European descent, heritage, legacy owners. And our final question on this lovely trivia segment. Which famous Native American, also known as Bright Path, played in the NFL in the 1920s? This dude was a rock star, basically. That would be Mr. Jim Thorpe. He also played 6 seasons of pro baseball and won gold medals in the 1912 Olympics in the pentathlon and decathlon. So that guy was a total athlete. Just kind of did it all. Thanks for joining us on this fun quiz. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're dumber. Who knows? But thanks again.